Hello, good evening, and very, very warm welcome to everyone for the Curious Mind series podcast. Before we start, hi Mel, good evening. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Loud and clear, my friend. Thanks.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So, I'm going to start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, and colleagues and peers, and wishing you all a blessed evening for the ones who are watching it from Malaysia live, night for the people who are in Australia. I don't think there's anybody from New Zealand watching right now, but Australia definitely yes. Good morning to people in other parts of the world, and a good afternoon to some of you. Thank you for joining us for the Curious Mind series, episode number 17. And on this podcast, I'm also conscious it's a month of Ramadan, it's a fasting month, and therefore we acknowledge and we appreciate our Muslim colleagues fasting this particular month. It is very hot, humid here in KL, but I must say, a person virtually geography apart from me, Mel, who is our guest tonight, is based in Melbourne, Australia, nicely wearing a jacket and making me feel a little jealous.
Well, it is about 20 degrees only. I wish it was colder, actually.
Now I'm a tinge more jealous than before. I would have loved to wear a jacket, but anyway, so it is. It's a nice, beautiful sunset happening in KL while we are here. So it's a pleasure to have Mel as a guest speaker. Mel is a born Malaysian, by heart very much a Malaysian, as much as I know him. Has been residing in Australia for many, many years, and someone who is described within his close circle as somebody who's calm, genuine, professional, intellectually stimulating, which is what this discussion is going to be, emotionally compassionate, and a thoughtful listener. He also partners and coaches C-suite executives, senior leaders, and their teams from different cultures and nationalities, not only in Australia, not only in Southeast Asia, but across the globe. Mel is someone who found his purpose and calling in coaching and has been on this journey for more than 14 years now. 15th year, right, Mel? If I'm getting it right.
15 as a professional coach,
Professional
but
coach.
I graduated 20 years ago.
Ooh, wow. So there you go. Somebody who has been in the coaching space for almost 2 decades now. Mel is a certified master certified coach, MCC from ICF, a founder of Catalyst Coach, which has in fact produced many more coaches who are currently impacting the wider world positively. Mel coaches through his one on one executive and team coaching interventions. His amazing clients transform to become brave leaders who speak their minds, connect with their hearts, and inspire with their wills as they bring out the best in themselves and others. Now, this is very, very, very brief about all what Mel does and what he has been doing. If you want to know more about him, as always, there is always a LinkedIn profile. You can go out there and you can check all the good things which Mel does. There is also a LinkedIn profile about Catalyst Coach, which provides amazing coaching to future coaches who are willing to who are willing to become coaches. Um, with such a rich background and deep understanding of human psychology, I must admit, Mel, that I'm a bit of a nervous beginner today.
I don't think you should be, Vikram. This is your 17th episode, so I want to congratulate you, for that wonderful perseverance. And, I am a fan. So, you know, it's great work that you've done thus far.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Um, that kind of settles my nerves a bit, but I must say I'm still a little nervous. I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll give our best.
Sure,
With
of course.
somebody who is such a stalwart with us from the coaching space, it's a no brainer that today we are going to unravel what we are going to unravel in today's podcast. It is about coaching. Are you ready for it, Mel?
Oh, ever ready.
There you
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go. But before we begin with the questions and we get the ball rolling, I must. There are some of you who are watching us probably for the first time. The entire essence around the Curious Mind series podcast is that it is unfiltered, it is unedited, and we are going live right now, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. And our guest, which is Mel today, isn't aware about the questions we are going to ask him. And we, as in not only me, but also you from your whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, you can type in your comments on the comment section and we will pop it up right here. So Mel is absolutely clueless about what questions are going to come his way. So all the answers which we receive today purely based on his experience, his expertise in the coaching space, his knowledge, his wisdom, and his personality. So it is the package what we experience today over the course of the next 55 minutes or so. So, with that, let's get the ball rolling, ladies and gentlemen. First one, coaching is a very, 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 very broad phenomenon, and uh, we'll start with the basics. What, according to you, Mel, is coaching? Can you explain to us in a very, very simple layman term?
Sure. Thanks, Vikram. Um, I like to link or align coaching. It's like you are dancing, right, in the flow of things. There are some songs that connect with us in our soul. You know what I mean, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
If the DJ plays, for example, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from Starship back in my day, I'll be on the dance floor, and some people it would be Dancing Queen from ABBA, right? So you kind of know that kind of getting into that groove of things, right? It's likened to this coaching conversation that we have with people. Now, of course, it can be one to one, it could be one to many. So it depends on the way the coaching is executed, right? But in a nutshell, as I was saying, it's like if it's two parties on a dance floor, they are flowing in sync.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen certain programs, right, like Dancing with the Stars or something, where you see actors and celebrities trying to get onto the dance floor with their partner. And actually, you see that fluidity and that flow and the ability to move along the dance floor and the dance steps. But very, very excitedly, we see it as like they are symmetrical, right? It's like they're mirroring each other, and it's so amazing to see them flow as one. So when you think about the best conversations that you and I ever had in our past, and you realize that it could actually be that moment of flow. So I'd like to just start there first. A conversation that actually knows no time, a conversation that you and I can be ourselves, the conversation that's so connected, not just here, but so connected over here as well, and even intuitively in our gut. So it's like it's a part of us, right? And that conversation is empowering, that conversation is uplifting, that conversation is focused on the leader of the dance, which is actually not the coach, but the coachee. And we realize that in that coaching relationship of coachee and coach, the hero is the person leading the dance, because ultimately they are dancing in, metaphorically speaking, in their life. Right? It is about them. And it is about their desires and dreams, right? That we are actually co-partnering with them to work together so that they will achieve at the end of the day. It's not driven by our own smarts as a coach. It's driven by the coachee who actually has that driving seat in their car towards the destination. So it's a beautiful conversation.
Nice. I love the way you put the analogy of dancing and correlating to coaching, and the fact that you brought on something which is very, very important, and something which kind of goes under the radar, but rarely get noticed, is the person who's leading the dance, or the person who's leading the coaching discussion, is technically not the coach, but
Yeah,
the coachee.
yeah,
But a lot of
absolutely.
people, a lot of coaches still believe and still do, or including me, we always think we are the coach. I'm the coach. I'm the one who's driving this discussion. Why is this actually the other way around?
um, well, it's often confused with, sports, right? And in sports, actually linked as well to the military, the
Hmm.
rigor of sports, right? And the coach being so prominent in the running of a certain team. Let's say it's a team sport like soccer, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I know in Southeast Asia, or even the world, right? It is soccer is like the craziest thing. People follow the Premier League, La Liga, whatever it is, and they have this idea of the coach being that stern person on the sideline, right? And like
Hmm.
directing people
Go
where
for
to
it.
go, and it's like, come on, follow the plan, right? And we realized that this also appears in the workplace.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I grew up in a day and age where, sorry to kind of generalize, but this is my experience, where baby
Hmm.
boomers were the leaders of companies. Okay, I'm a Gen X,
Hmm.
and when we had baby boomers ruling the show, it often was like, my way or the highway, follow me or be, discarded on the sidelines or the bench if we're
Absolutely.
talking about that team, right? And we realize that this is that dynamic that we've been experiencing in those years, right, of watching sports, going to the workplace, and it also looks the same, and we think it's right. So to your
Right.
question, Vikram, there has been that precondition in our minds that, oh, I think this is coaching. And hence that led to people actually in the workplace fearing to be coached because they are
Mm.
saying, what's wrong with me? Actually, nothing wrong with me. So I don't need coaching. I'm fine. you know. So that dynamic, I believe, is a myth, and that needs to be squashed, right? And to realize that actually coaching is about partnership. Remember that first example I gave?
Mm, mm,
It's a
mm.
pure partnership. And if we think about what pure partnerships do we have in our lives, I would like to think that one of my dearest partnerships is with my spouse. And same with you, Vikram, right?
Mm, mm,
We've had a
mm,
little bit of a talk about that. I know. I know we're live
mm.
as well, so I won't bring that up. But we realize that very important partnership cannot be mismanaged, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
We've
yeah,
got to be very careful how we trot in this partnership, right, in this
territory, yeah.
relationship. So we,
Yeah.
we cannot drive it, even though, sorry to say this, but in those old days, I saw my father, I'm the man of the house, my father said. You know, I still am the man of the house, but then there's the queen of the house as well. So we come in this partnership, right? In all of our partnerships and also in the workplace, and realize that, hey, coaching is actually about the best partnerships that we can have. And yes, sometimes this can be your superior, your immediate superior. And
Mm.
then sometimes it could be your peers as well. In our lives, Vikram, you have experienced it in many wonderful organizations of yours as well. You realize that some of your peers were also some of the good coaches throughout your career, besides
True,
just
true.
your immediate boss,
It
right?
was. Yeah.
And we realize that this dynamic uh, can continue to happen when we change this mindset of ours of what we thought was coaching in the past and now be open to what true partnership can become.
Become. Nice, nice, nice. So, all people out there, this is an eye opener. There has to be a change in mindset from a coaching perspective that as a coach, you are not the one who's driving it, it's the coachee who is actually driving the discussion and how they kind of take it further. And it is in partnership, in conjunction.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Let's move on to the next one. And while we do, to the audience who's listening to us, again, if you have any questions, comments,
Yeah.
any thoughts which come to your mind while we discuss, do type it into the comment section and we will pop it up. And you have nobody else than Mel himself answering to them right now. I understand, Mel, coaching has been, again, in existence for many, many years.
Mm.
However, how come it is becoming so prevalent and so important in today's world? Why suddenly there is so much of relevance around coaching? It's like the buzzword in the last few years.
Mm. Well, I like to answer that in a few ways. Number one, for the very first time, I reckon we have probably four generations, or even maybe almost five generations in the workplace,
If the
right?
baby boomers don't retire
Exactly,
immediately.
exactly.
Yes,
So you watch
yes.
you watch what I said, right? It's a tricky situation. Never in history we've seen that whole generation um, melting pot that is happening right now, and with that comes the different approaches, the different um, desires to be treated, to be listened to be appreciated at different levels, right? Because every generation, I would say, will have some nuances. I mean, I'm not trying to generalize, but not everyone in every generation is like that. There is an overlap as well, right? And so when we have that mixture now in this space, and you know what, post-COVID didn't help as well, because now we are needing to be so quick in response to things that is coming up, right? Hence the need for coaching, because coaching has been known, or has been at least seen in years. Coaching actually has been around for about 30 plus years, actually more than that. But officially in the 80s, when people started to see coaching coming a lot more stronger in organizations, obviously starting in the States and then Europe and all that, right? And we in this part of the world are actually playing a bit of a catch up, right? So it's a great methodology to be, I would say apply, but to be adopting into that culture. Because at the end of the day, this melting pot of cultures are going to come together, and we've got to find a common language. And I want to be the catalyst to say that the common language is actually coaching.
Wow.
Why? Why?
Yes.
Because that language of coaching is open, it is respectful, it is empowering, it is non judgmental, it is believing, as I often say, in human potential. It is a language and, of course, a style of management. You can put on coaching in situations, right? And we don't often have to be the coach forever. Okay. That's the other myth that people may think. Oh, you mean I put it on means I cannot take it out? No, no. You can still be the mentor. You can still be the tough boss, at times, right? You can still play all those different important roles. And then now it's an add-on coaching onto that, because it is going to really equip and open up conversations with your people. So I feel that's what's needed, and that's why you see, Vikram, there are more and more the need for open town halls, right? These days you hear it more, right? It's like, why do I have to address the people? In those days, it's like, I'll send you a memo, read the memo,
Read
right?
the memo.
But today, it's like, I need to engage, the words, engage with the people, right? And then there's the open mic town halls that, sorry to say this, but leaders are afraid of, because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where they're going to come from, right? But when you do that, what are you doing? You're empowering the people to take on the organization, right? What they see, they want to inculcate in their culture. You know what I mean? And all of that is actually part of that coaching language, because the coaching language is about also asking the right questions. It's also being explorative in nature, right? Being curious, like what your podcast is called, the curious mind, right? It's also having that as part of that DNA of coaching, in that coaching expression, which is the language. So I feel that this is it. We've hit the nail, right? The jackpot, to have or to add on coaching into your current culture is one of the best things that I've seen in recent times.
Nice, very nice. While we are at it, we have Hong Yok saying good evening, Mel. Good evening, Vikram. Hi, Hong Yok. A very good evening to you. And while you were responding so beautifully on that, Mel, she even mentioned love that, Mel. So thank you so much. I
Thank you.
really appreciate Hong Yok. All the love which is coming through. Please keep asking questions. Share your love. We are more than happy to answer to you and continue on this journey. I have lots of more interesting questions to ask. Well, before I go on to the next one, we have hi Faris. Faris is saying something. I'm going to read it out. Even after filtering coaching training providers in Malaysia that are ICF certified, there's still quite a few. Not easy to discern which ones are good, especially when you're not familiar familiar with the coaching curriculum. Any tips on what I should look for in training providers that may indicate in providing the best value if I want to be coaching certified? Well, Fariz, before Mel answers to you, I must, and then he says, after the
Good
question, he
question.
says, hi, Vic, and hi, Mel, hi, Fariz. But then before Mel answers to you, this was one of the questions I was going to ask, probably my seventh or eighth. But there you go. That's the reason this podcast is for. So, Mel, over to you.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for the comments thus far. Keep it coming, right? Faris, good to see you. Um, I'm trying to stay non-biased, okay? Because I also Vikram knows I also run an ICF accredited school based in Melbourne, Australia, right? And I've been doing coaching training since the year 2010. So that's a couple of years now. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't dare say there are bad schools out there. I won't be the one saying that. I'm going to say that there are some methodologies that every coaching school has. And you know what? Just like when we are trying to connect with our people, right, and trying to inculcate a language of coaching, we have to understand our culture. We have to understand that our organization is different from the next one. Just because someone else uses some provider doesn't mean that that same provider is going to be good for your organization. So I think that's the first thing I want to put in everyone's mind, is that it needs to be able to customize to your needs, or in that sense understanding the culture of your organization. I think that's really important. One example I can give you is a couple of years ago, actually now 9 years ago, I was given an opportunity to work with one of the banks in Malaysia. Okay. There was this tender that we won, and we worked with this bank all across their senior leadership team for 3 full years. Now, this culture, it's a very different culture from another bank. Let me just say that every organization is unique, right? At that point of time, they needed to create something that would fit their core values. So one of the things that I did when I came in was to understand what their core values stood for, you know. Example, integrity, da 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 da. And what I did was, in collaboration with the HR folks and also certain key stakeholders, we proposed a model that is customized with the core values in the middle for them. So we didn't just bring example, the grow model, and slapped it on and said, this is the model to use because Sir John Whitmore says so. Okay. We try to understand how locally in the culture, in the bank, that this coaching can actually fit into an existing culture like hand and glove. Because when you don't do that, then it's something foreign, right? It's like you're forcing something foreign. For example, Blue Ocean strategy was a foreign thought. Sorry to say that. It was so foreign that people locally could not understand it. I mean, it was simple enough to understand that. But imagine it's saying, just because I want to put Blue Ocean, or the next word, which was agility, I want to put on agility into every aspect. And people are like, apa ni agility ni? Apa makna agility di dalam culture kita? Sorry, in the English means what is agility meaning in our culture, right? So when they don't understand that, then it becomes foreign, right? So just like the whole precept of partnership, I come back to that point. When I work with organizations, to me, I'm coming in not as the expert, I'm coming in as a partner to you, so that together we can create something that is lasting, something that is not just a flash in a pan because it is a great idea. Every organization also have coaching, so I want to put it in. It's not the tick in the box that you want. You've got to find out why does this, or how can this actually make a difference in my organization and culture, and start from there. I don't know
Nice,
whether that
nice.
answered the question, Vikram.
Well, I hope it did. And while you were answering that, Faris did mention oops, and that's fine, Faris. And he also did mention no names of providers mentioned. Perfectly fine with that, Faris. No issues,
I
no
didn't mention my
concerns.
clients as well. No problem. It's all good. We are safe.
It's all good. It's all good. But we
Yeah.
hope it did answer to your question, Faris, to what you were looking for. So continuing from that, very interesting answer. Continuing from that, Hong Yok also mentioned language of coaching, and what Mel mentioned about coaching is as the add-on for other skills. Any thoughts on that, Mel?
Um. Yes. I think it falls into the 5 C's that is very important. I did some prep as well, as a good um, person coming onto your show, right? So I really want to honor, that space that you have opened up for me, and and say that these 5 C's are so important, as these are the attributes of a successful coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about the best coach that you have ever experienced in your life, and every one of us would have a different name in our minds, you would realize that some of these C's that I'll be giving to you will have those ticks to your coach in your
Coach.
mind. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna test it out right now. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Vikram. So
Five.
let me start with the first C. The first C is definitely competency, right? Of course, we have to start there because the competency are different. The ICF obviously has a different competency. The AMCC, another global body, has a different uh, competency. But if I put it down to a very simple competency, it's the ability to listen, build rapport and trust, and then have this emotional regulation, right? And being self aware. Now, if this competency is there, we can start actually having a good conversation with people, which means what?
Hmm.
It's often got to
Hmm.
start with ourselves, right? And as we build on new competencies on ourselves, we've got to work on those competencies, like listening, for example, and practice them so that that becomes better, right? The other C is consistency. And that consistency is that commitment towards learning and growth and feedback. Every good coach will have a mentor. Okay. Let me just say that. Let's
Hmm.
put it out there.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Without that, who's giving feedback to the coach? Come on. Let's be honest. Right. The coach is
True.
just going
True.
on the merry way because the competence is there. Right? That's why the competence is the first one. But where's the checkpoints, right? Where is that consistency? And so this coach needs to actually have this commitment that I'm not there yet. And even as me, I reached that sort of that little mountain of master certified coach. We are 4% in the world of all the credential coaches.
Wow.
I thought, even in my mind, that was the start of my journey, Vikram. It was not like, already so
You
far I
already
traveled,
reached there. Yeah.
It
Hmm.
was to me like a fresh new start. It's like a reset button I had pressed and said, I now got so much way more to go, right? And I started this podcast, as you know, it called the 100 Master Coaches. And
100.
every master coach that comes onto the call, I'm actually gleaning from them firsthand because I interview them and I learn, because to me it's about that commitment to that consistency that's so important, right? The second one. And then the third C is that confidence. Now, that confidence can only be built over time, of course. That means you're practicing the competency, right? Don't give up, continuously practice. There can be even, example, there are people listening here who are not external coaches, they are internal leaders, right?
Yeah.
Who are learning coaching from, let's say, a 2-day program or something like that. Now is the question of, are you confident being the coach? Are you confident that you can play the role of the holding the mirror role? Because that's what good coaches do. The good coaches actually perfect the art of holding the mirror. They're so amazing mirror holder that they actually shine back what the coachee is and will become in just a different angle. So are you confident in holding up the mirror versus trying to save the person in front of you? And that's what often I see in workplace coaches, right? Workplace leaders, right? When they learn coaching, in the back of their mind, they're like, this person is not going the way I think it should be, so I'm going to save him now, pull them back, versus allowing them to try and to also perhaps fall down a little bit, like how we learned how to fall down before we could walk properly. Some people need to be able to do that as well. And are we confident enough to let the kite string further out so that the kite can fly, right? Fourth one is about community. It's like having the right community surrounding you, right? Do you have a tribe, a family? I call the ICF my family, right? Because they're the ones that can hold me accountable to my standards.
True.
Never work with someone who's not part of a community. Then we become a very solo regulated person. Okay. So some thoughts there for those who are listening. And then the last C is about contribution. Okay, everything we do needs an output. And that output sometimes goes beyond just coaching. Right? It goes into the places that we can impact. All of us are called to go into different places and communities even, right, to impact. And I believe the best of coaches actually are people who contribute to communities. So that's my little 5 C's that actually allow us to identify ourselves. How far are we as a good, successful coach?
Fantastic. Again, inadvertently in this, Mel, thank you so much. Very invaluable insights on the 5 C's. But inadvertently in this, you also answered to another question which I had later on just being a successful coach. So that's really nice. And thank you, Hongya, for just sharing that thought and then having Mel go on that journey of sharing that. Fantastic.
Good trigger.
And good trigger. But then Faris also mentioned, and I'm going to take this one, Mel. I will not let you take this one, purely because he said, I was actually referring to my personal quest to be certified and looking for a provider to train me. Well, this is not an advertisement or a promotion for Catalyst Coach or for Mel. But having said that, all I will say, Faris, is even when I went on that journey to look for a coaching, provider, do your research. There are people in Malaysia who provide face-to-face. There are Catalyst Coach, which does virtual coaching. But there are some who kind of club it into a 5-day program. There are some who kind of spread it out, experiential learning over a 6-month, 9-month period. So it is all yours. Go out there, search there. I would personally recommend Catalyst Coach to have a look. Go out there, explore, have a chat with Mel. And see what you get comfortable. Like Mel said in the start of the conversation, totally, it is a partnership. So it is up to you what you're looking for, and whether the values and the ideologies or the methodology of coaching, undergoing that training on coaching, is what you connect with. And then, like I said, there are many players in the market.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There is one question which comes across, Mel. A lot of people in our everyday world are formally or informally coaching, whether it is in life, whether it is in workplace. Uh, and it comes very easily to a lot of people to say, hey, you know what, I'm a coach, I'm coaching this person. Like I said, even if I'm a boss, I'll say I'm a coach, or to some juniors. Now, but there is a key difference to the people who get into the details between a coaching, a mentoring, a counseling, and to even an extent psychology. Can you share some thoughts around what is the core difference between coaching, mentoring, counseling primarily, and if you want to touch base upon psychology, how does one differentiate between the three?
Mm, mm. We cover that on second module, let me tell you. About program, not selling the program, don't worry.
Cover
But
what you can cover for free.
I'll bring an example from the program,
Okay.
and this is what I use, right? If I did this on a face to face, I would do this. I often would get a person up from the crowd and ask them to stand next to me, and they're next to me, and I'm saying, okay, remember, I'm your boss. Okay, I'm your boss. Okay, I'm working with you. Okay, so right now, let's say I'm working with you, Vikram, right now. So you're next
Hmm,
to me,
hmm.
right?
Right, right.
And then
Absolutely.
I say, if I was a mentor, I would be standing in front of you, right?
Hmm,
In front of you, because I am showing you the ropes. I'm showing you how to do things within our culture. Get it? I'm in
hmm,
front of you. And because I'm more senior than you, often mentors that is chosen in workplaces are the ones that are more
more
experienced, more
space.
senior, right? More years in the company, which means, right, who knows how to go about doing things in the company, right? Particular role or whatever. So I'm ahead of you. And when I turn back, I'm like, are you following or not? You're following what I'm doing or not? Because I'm your mentor. I'm guiding you, teaching you, leading you towards what is right in our culture. Okay? So bear in mind, the mentors ahead, the mentees behind.
Hmm,
Now, if I'm actually counseling someone, I'm actually going to sit the person down. Okay? Think
hmm.
of this like in a couch, right? I'm like saying, sit down. Okay? Like a bit like you're in the naughty corner. Sit down. Okay. Again, not not the atypical way. I'm just giving an example. Okay, sit
Example.
down. I will also sit down, and I'll have a constructive and yet serious talk with this person. When we
Hmm,
go into counseling mode, it's often because of a few reasons. One of the reasons could be a behavioral or attitudinal thing that is not right in the culture. So we have to counsel you. This maybe can be done outside in another company, but this company cannot. So we're going to have this open talk. It's still an open talk with you, but we're going to lay down what's right, what's wrong, the guidelines. And I'm going to say, are you going to comply or not? Because
hmm,
it's needed. It's needed, right? This kind of behavior, not appreciated. This kind of behavior, appreciated. You know what I mean?
hmm,
That's to me counseling. Now, there is a room for mentoring. There is a room for counseling. It must be done in companies. And then there is a room for coaching.
coach.
And coaching starts with both coach and coachee on the same level. You can imagine, really side by side. Which means what? You're close enough for me to whisper a question. What are you thinking about? What is something that you want to achieve? What is happening now? What are you realizing? Da, da, da. So it's like that nice conversation. We're partnering the person towards what they want. Okay? And they will move ahead this time. The coachee will move ahead. Why move ahead? Because we've coached them so that they can progress, right? So now they are ahead. And when they are ahead, that means they have achieved their goal, they have achieved their promotion, they have achieved something for themselves. They would feel like, I did it. And what we do as a coach, we stay back in that position. We don't join them yet. We stay back in the position when they are in front. And what we do is we clap. We're like, I celebrate you. Not I celebrate me because of my smarts that help you. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in companies before, right? It's like,
Yes.
it was all because of me, you know. So in the real coaching environment, it is I am celebrating the person because the person is the hero of the conversation. So they're now in front and they're enjoying the accolades of the win, whatever it is, the achievement. I stay behind. I love to watch tennis, Vikram. And in tennis, you never see the coach jump down
Yeah.
and run on the court and hold the prize together with the winner. Got
Yes.
Don't have. It's the other way around. The player is trying to reach to the coach. The coach is just like this. The coach like that. The coach just behind like that. It's like you did it. So similarly, that is where they can enjoy the autonomy, the celebration for themselves because they have achieved what they wanted to achieve. And then when that happens already, they're happy, we join them back on the same but new plane. It's a new plane now. We join them back in that new platform. And now we say, hey, so how it is? What are you learning from your promotion? What are you learning from your achievement? What are you learning from your resilience? We ask them, and the whole process starts again. So I'm just showing you in that physiological way, if you can picture that in your mind, right? The mentor in the relationship is often the hero, not the mentee. The coachee in that coaching relationship is the hero, not the coach.
Not the coach. That's very nicely put. Very nicely put. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
Does it, and it did also touch upon, and I know I kind of jump onto the next question because I'm always conscious of time and there's so much to ask. It's such a wide world around coaching. But having said that, now I know I'm conscious I barely give you a second to kind of breathe it down. What is it important, and you touched upon that very nicely, is it important for the coach to be a subject matter expert in the particular field where the coach is coaching?
Yeah. Do I jump in now? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'll just tell you from my experience, okay, this is to share a perspective only. Some of my amazing clients are banks, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, service providers like lifts, elevators. I have zero knowledge on those industries as my experience. Based on my experience, I am an FMCG marketer, okay, fast moving consumer goods marketer. Funnily for me, I don't have any FMCG clients, okay. Maybe I've just avoided them because that was my old life, right? But it's usually financial institutions that work with me, you know, or service providers, right? And even now, going into education that is working with me. I would still like to say that there needs to be an understanding of that common way of work. That means working culture, management, leadership, communication, collaboration, strategic thinking. List goes on. The commonality is actually having the exposure, not experience, having the exposure to have done these things before. I reckon, in my humble opinion, that things that you have done in your previous life is valuable because it lends just a perspective of how you can get into a conversation with, of course, not with influence, but with your leverage as you have experienced it before. It's like someone said this before, you can never coach someone to places you've never been before.
Very deep.
So you've got to have experience it. You don't have to experience it the same way. Like, oh, I understand financial institution because I was a banker before. Now, will it help? Of course, it will lend some help. However, I like to think on the other way. Sometimes when we have too much of that background, we may be biased. We now may come into it not so objective because we are leaning onto our own past experiences, right? Versus trying to help them to project what they want for themselves. And that's what we do, right, as coaches. We help them, the best people we work with, to understand their own core, to understand their own linkage to their goals, right? Is it personal, organizational, whatever. We help them with all of that, which is that bit of what coaching does. And you know what? That's the linkage there. I reckon this, or rather, I unveiled that for myself recently. In marketing, I was a person that actually helped accentuate brand potential. You know what I mean? Product potential, right? Today, I help accentuate human potential. So the connection between my past and future is actually the word potential. I've been helping brands become better, in their marketing, in their potential of that. Now I help people get better in their potential. So some linkages, but you know what? Not directly linked or aligned is needed as you become a coach out there.
Nice. Fantastic. I have a list of questions, but I'm going to go on to what Hongyuk is going to ask you. As Mel said, when working with an organization, we as coaches are not the experts working for them, but rather their partners. Fantastically put. My question is, how do they react or respond to this approach? Does it go against their expectations? I would love to hear about your experience with this. Share an experience with us.
Yeah. First, I want to say that people know what their gaps are. Okay, organizations actually know that they need someone outside to come in who's more objective, who's more, I guess, expert in the area of coaching. Now, I believe all organizations that invite me in don't dare to say, I am very good in coaching already. Then why do you need me? You actually don't need me, right? And so it starts from that. They have a desire or it's a gap, right, that they're looking at. And often it ties to looking at their talents, right? They are like, how can I develop my people? How can I develop my talents? Oh, one of the gaps that I see is my people, my leaders don't know how to work with the other generations that report to them. Often it's like that. That's why I linked it to that first explanation about the differences in generation, right? So it starts with that common desire stroke challenge that they're facing as an organization that they want to overcome, right? So it starts with that. It's never about me coming in and say, I've got the best solution for you. It is coaching. In fact, I don't bring in coaching as coaching. Coaching is just one of the solutions that's provided, but I actually never call it coaching itself.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
We call it could be a leadership development track. We could call it in different way, talent development, high performance development for your people, whatever it is, to meet the needs of their desires. So
mm.
that we are not caught saying coaching is the best thing next to sliced bread. And you know what? People will shoot it down when you go in that way. You're like, how sure are you? Give me case studies, give me this. I will give you all that. But if you don't come that way, you come as a partner. Again, I come back to that word, right? As a partner, not as an expert, but a partner to understand the nuance, commonality that actually a lot of organizations face today. There are themes of why people in organizations are suffering in a certain way, or needing help in a certain way. We become sensitized to that. We listen to that. We practice the coaching in even the needs analysis conversation we have with them, and allow to come back with something that would meet their needs versus saying, I'm selling you coaching solution. Because at the end of the day, what is coaching? Coaching is about, as I said, partnership. So we have to showcase the partnership all the way through in the relationship building portion with your clients. Right? So that is my experience. Whenever I go in, I spend 1 hour, sometimes 1.5 hours with the client as just an introduction to more listen to what they want, right, and where they want to go, what they want out of their talents, for example, versus saying, here you go, here are some of my solutions for you to pick and choose. I never ever go in that way.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thanks, and hope that answers to you, Hong Yok. Um, if you don't mind, Mel, can we overrun by like 5 minutes? Will that be fine with you?
Sure, man. When I'm in Malaysia, you know what to do, lah.
I'll buy you a nice cup of coffee. I know. Done deal. Okay, I'm just going to move into a little bit of territory from coaching into wannabe coaches. So there are
Okay.
also people out there who are, and while I'm saying that, there's a little thanks coming for you. Um, Thanks, Mel, for sharing your experience. It's precious. Yes, it is indeed, and that's the reason for this podcast. Thank you, Hongyak. Uh, Moving into a space of wannabe coaches, there are people out there who want to be coach, want to become a coach.
Yeah.
What very quickly, and I'm going to probably wrap these two, three questions very quickly. What is
Yeah.
the pros and cons of coaching? Top three, top three.
Oh wow. Okay. The pros and cons. I think the first pro is that on a self basis, you get more self-aware of
Mhm,
your own person inside of you. The one underneath the iceberg that
mhm,
but you don't dare to share with everyone. So you become a
mhm,
lot more aware of that. I think that's the first pro of coaching. In a team basis, it's better collaboration with other people, because the autonomy is not, given from me. The autonomy is asked, requested from the person they're working with, so that they will actually live up to their responsibility. Right? We don't take it away from them. Neither do we direct them in a way that, that is not going to be empowering. Right? So that's a team side of things. And then in the organizational part of it, the pro is actually creating a culture that actually listens, really hears the people, and in that way, that the word that I get is your culture caring? Actually, is your culture caring enough for the people that you will really want to listen into? So if you
mhm,
practice coaching, then that culture will be truly open, right? When, of course, the culture is really wanting to hear the people. The cons, often I hear this, I have no time. No time, lah. coaching takes too long, and I tend to disagree, because we do have laser coaching. We can do a 5-minute coaching, a walk down the steps, go down the elevator, go and have a coffee together kind of coaching. You can do that. You don't always have to sit down and spend half an hour or 45 minutes with someone. You can do it. That's why I say coaching is not just a language, it is a lifestyle. Okay, so that will be some of the pros. The second pro probably is that the people, that the team might be weary of this thing called coaching because of their wrong perceptions. They've experienced wrong coaching when that leader called it coaching and they didn't like it, so they want to run away from it, right? So the wrong perception. And then the last one is that I call it that viability of the quality of coaching when it comes to internal coaching. I can tell you upfront, a lot of companies don't use internal coaches for top management because top management ain't gonna be open to all of their problems to internal people. So that's the cons. Yes. If you are thinking, right, why people are rejecting it, because at least the top people will say, no, get me someone outside, because they are more objective than people inside. So hopefully I answered that bit.
3 pros, 3 cons of coaching. Fantastic. I'm going to move on very quickly to the next one.
Sure.
How does one build a coaching mindset?
Oh, wow. So many things come to mind, right? But the first one is actually that whole how open are you to that self awareness? I come back to that point. I know I said it before, but that openness to yourself, the openness to even your insecurities. We don't talk about it in our Asian culture, let me tell you, right? But in coaching, we do encourage people to talk about the things that you don't want to share with anyone else but your coach. So that is very important. When you step into coaching, that mindset you've got to have is, how open can I be to myself, so that when I open up to myself, I will actually face all of that limiting beliefs and all that insecurities up front, rather than being in denial, if you know what I mean, right? So that's the first one. In a team wise, it's very simple. Listen more, talk less. Simple as that. The mindset of coaching in a team is, how well are you listening to your people, right? Or how well are they listening to you? If you want the latter, then you're not perhaps ready for coaching. So it's that how well are you doing at the listening, which is key. And then the last one is, I just want to say this, organizationally, coaching is not just a program. To get into the coaching mindset, it's a lot more than ticking the box and say, I already sent them to 2-day coaching, so they should be coaching. The point is, people don't coach because they're still wary about the repercussions of when they're coaching someone and it doesn't work. So to remove that fear of that is to kind of create a community of coaches. When I help the company build a coaching culture, one of the things that's very important, I'll give you a little secret, is you have to have a communities of practice, right? That means you got to get the coaches coming together and practicing the sword the sword fighting that's coaching okay? Practicing that, because without practice, you're just going to be so shy to use a new thing, which is coaching. And it can never be just because I attended a program that I can coach. It's by allowing yourself to practice it, and starting, of course, with the people most comfortable to you in the organization. If you're an internal coach, don't start with the hardest person, okay? Start with the person that is most open to you, and then work your way down the track. So these are some thoughts. Yeah.
Excellent. Last question on this particular aspect for somebody who wants to be a coach. When they start their learning journey or their coaching
Yeah.
journey of becoming a coach, then many of them are not sure what will they specialize in: a leadership coach, a career coach, a lifestyle coach, whatever. At what point in time do you decide what is going to be the area of specialization under coaching?
I'll make it very simple, Vikram, because of time as well. Um, your clients that you work with determine that for you. You see, it's not the reverse. You're out there trying to market yourself. It's what they recognize of you.
Mm,
It's a reverse, it's a counterintuitive way of doing it. Now, if you ask me what my clients recognize of me, is they recognize someone who is will speak down to earth, will speak truth, right? Will be real with them, right?
mm,
And yet will be hard enough to challenge the best people in the organization. So that's the kind of coach I am, right? Whatever you want to call me, it is secondary. But
okay.
I know that the clients that hire me, they are ready to work. They are not going to shy away. If I ask them a question, they're like, I don't know. They'll never answer, I don't know. They will try very hard, and they know they will be challenged to the brink. And that's why they need to be brave enough. That's why one of my words is brave to face themselves in the mirror, because I'm not going to purposely challenge them for me. I'm
Mm,
challenging them for them. Remember that. They are the hero of the
the
relationship,
coach.
and they will always be. And so that's how I'll do it. So coaches out there, you're out there, stop trying to niche yourself too tight. Go where the market accepts you
Mm,
and start there. And yes, you can morph along the way. Of course, you have to morph along the way because your clients will change along the way as well as you mature as a coach. Okay.
fantastic, fantastic. 5 minutes more than the hour, but I have the final section. That was the final question. I have the final section, which is what we call the fun rapid fire round, the FRFR. This wouldn't take more than a minute or 2 minutes, in which I'll ask you five questions, Mel.
Oh
And
my
probably
gosh.
a lot of people within your network, within your friends, might not know some of this. So here you go.
Okay.
Mel, absolutely unfiltered. Very easy questions. I'm not going to ask you controversial ones, be rest assured. Um, and they're just five. So the first one: what's your favorite cuisine and any special go-to dish for you at any point in time?
Well, to me is I'm Malaysian, so any Malaysian dish like nasi lemak, chicken rice, Hokkien mee, Indian banana leaf will do. It's the mix of what makes Malaysia Malaysia.
So, okay, very nice. So Malaysian La you, I'm going to say it that way while you're on it. Thanks, Ram, for your encouragement. I'm going to move
Thanks,
to the
Ram.
next one. If Mel didn't end up becoming a successful coach, which is what he is, and you are known, Mel, as the coach right now, I just didn't want to say it at the start of it. What would you have been in life?
Oh, wow. Maybe a singer in a band,
Okay.
traveling the world, with my tunes, right? Just still igniting people, to sing along with me.
Nice. No wonder the analogy came in the start of dancing. There you go. Okay, third one. Which is your favorite sport and which team do you
Oh,
support?
okay. I love tennis, but if we talk about team sport, it is soccer, and of course, Man City. Do not hate
Man
me for
City.
that. We're doing very badly this season, okay?
Okay. Fourth one. Having traveled across the globe, across the world, what's your favorite holiday destination as of today?
Anywhere in the world with my beautiful wife.
There goes a heart, a lovely one. I'm going to share this little one as a cutout and send it to her. There you go. Women's Day, Valentine's special. You call it what you want to call it, but there you have Mel with the perfect answer. Okay, and the last one. I don't know now. Is that correlated to the to the earlier answer? Who's the first person on your speed dial and why?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's definitely my wife. And it's because she's always the person that supported me, even at the point I remember in 2005 when I walked into coaching, and to be frank, no one else in my life thought it was a good idea. She said, Mel, I will support you if this is what you're called to do. Yeah, it's not bad.
Fantastic. Perfect. Really nice. Okay, there you go. Of FR fun rapid fire round. Got Mel a little emotional for 2 seconds, and I will
Yeah,
park that there, which is it should be because it's been a long and a really fruitful journey for you, Coach
thank
Mel.
you.
And thank you so much for your inputs. That wraps up our Curious Mind series podcast today on coaching. I must admit, while I'm totally honored and humbled to hear from you, Mel, I probably had 10 more questions to ask you, but then such it is.
So,
Life is such. The time, we all have a time limit. So, with
yeah,
all of that, thank you so much, Mel. Really,
thank you.
really, really nice to have you
Thank
on
you.
the podcast. Any parting thoughts
Sure.
for all of us?
Yeah, coaching is not difficult. Yeah. Give it a go. Um, and yeah, make that part of your lifestyle one day, and look forward to meet you and see how coaching has changed your life like it has mine. Thank you so much, Vikram, for this beautiful space that you created. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Until next time, we'll see you again live. Until then, a goodbye and bye bye from both of us. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.